role in the 2024 finance bill protests, reshaping the country's political conversation. But as attention shifts towards the 2027 general election, well, questions are emerging about whether that activism will translate into votes. This report was produced by Alvin Kithinji.
We are not going anywhere. We are rejecting the finance bill. I'm here for Kenya. I'm here for my people.
Mr. President, whatever you are doing is not right.
We are not going to relate anymore.
But a lie has speed, but the truth has endurance.
The time to vote will come, and the time to vote we shall surprise them, because we shall appear.
In mid-2024, Kenya witnessed something unprecedented. Thousands of young people, many under 30, poured into the streets in many parts of the country. Their rallying cry, #Reject Finance Bill. For a generation often dismissed as politically disengaged, this was their awakening moment.
We are not going anywhere. We are rejecting the finance bill. Parliament tutafika. Niskume. I'm here for Kenya. I'm here for my people. I'm here for your rights.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm here to address you. You must go.
The Finance Bill of 2024 became the alarm bell, sparking outrage over taxation, governance, and accountability. For many, it was the first taste of activism beyond hashtags fueled by social media. They turned hashtag into rallying cries and TikTok videos in political statements. The protest demanded accountability, transparency, and relief from what they saw as punitive taxation.
Mr. President, whatever you are doing is not right. And there is nothing presidential about you. So, Mr. Ruto, what you are doing is not right.
We are not going to relate anymore. It's not today, neither tomorrow. Unless reject.
Online, their presence is undeniable. Their hashtags trend and their voices echoed far beyond. From tweets on X dissenting government spending to Instagram reels mocking political elites, Gen Z has mastered the art of digital dissent. They are shaping narratives, holding leaders accountable, and forcing issues into the national conversation. But critics argue that activism behind a screen does not always translate into action at the ballot box. This generation has mastered amplification. They can turn a budget clause into a viral moment, but the challenge is converting that digital energy into voting power. The protest forced the government to pause, rethink, and retreat.
Having reflected on the continuing conversation around the content of the Finance Bill 2024 and listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn.
Analysts argue that leaders underestimated the force of the Gen Z movement, but governance is not changed by hashtags alone. Without voter numbers, the political class may continue to dismiss youth as noisy, but their grievance is not important.
I feel like 2027 election has already been decided to an extent, and my opinion, sijapata mtu mwenye ako qualified kwa kupata vote yangu, but generally I'll go and vote. Yes, I'll go and vote. So hapo kwa I'm still weighing my options according to wenye the wenye watasimama. So yeah, I'll make my final decision come 2027 August.
You're still seeing them organizing around someone who they feel touched on TikTok to support. That's not died. So when I hear people saying Gen Z is dead, I'm like, no, they just recently mobilized for a young guy and his dad who's unwell. I'm like, no, they just recently mobilized for someone to go to school. That's not dead. It's just not alive in the political spaces how politicians are expecting them to be alive. And I do believe that very, very, very last minute, many of them will register.
The middle class are the people who have observed and watched this country go to the dogs. Majority of them don't want to participate in politics. And even when people who present something different participate in politics, the middle class tend to criticize them. Why? Because they are also part of the status quo. They are okay as long as things are running, things are working, okay? But they must realize that there's no future for Kenya, even for their children, even for generations to come. Even if you're earning a salary and you're able to take your kids to school, yet in a country where jobs are not being created every day, where manufacturing cannot thrive, and all these other problems that we talk about here economically, you'll take your kids to school, they'll come back to a country where they cannot get jobs. Most of the young people who came out on the street, and you remember even Kimani Ichung'wah, trying to joke about it and say that
wale wengi unaona wakiandamana Nairobi wameshika simu ya iPhone, wanajiita Gen Z, wanafika kwa maandamano na Uber, wanatoka maandamano wanaingia KFC kukula kuku na minofu.
That tells you about the background of those children, and it would actually mean that it is not well back at home. So even the middle class must rise to the occasion.
The 2025 by-elections told a sobering story. Despite the energy in the streets, voter registration among the youth remained low. Many say that online they roll, on the streets they march, but at the ballot they whisper, or worse, stay at home. Many young Kenyans stayed away from the 2025 by-elections. Was it mistrust in constitution or simply a belief that their vote will not change the system? The contrast was a stark, thunderous protest but silent polling booths.
The by-elections were not the safest in some areas. Why would I go somewhere where I know there are rumors that goons will be sent? Why would I go? Even right now going to church, if they're tear gassing you in church, see watu wataanza kukaa nyumbani. People will stop going to church. When you start seeing members of parliament bleeding and being beaten, I mean, it's crazy. If a member of parliament can be chapwad, like who are you as an ordinary person to go there? So I feel like there's a bigger issue there that we don't seem to speak to, and everyone is like, the youth are not coming out. But if you saw somewhere dangerous and you told someone to come, why would someone come out?
Fast forward to 2026.
Kenya hii iko na propaganda nyingi. Kuna watu wengi hawawezi kusema vile watapanga vijana wapate ajira. Wanasema ati watapanga vijana vile watapiga kura. Sasa mimi nataka nikuulize wewe. Husemi ya kwamba unapanga vile vijana watachaguliwa, hapana. unasema wewe unapanga vile vijana watakupigia wewe kura. Watakupigia wewe kura ndio wapate nini? You know, kama wewe unatafuta kura ya mtu, give him a plan. What is in it for them? Wewe unataka kupigiwa kura na wao nini yao iko kwa hiyo kura yako?
Political leaders from across the divide from the opposition to President William Ruto, whose government has initiated the Nyota program aimed at youth empowerment, which is now being seen as a way to acquire the most prized commodity of 2027 elections, the youth vote.
What the government has done to attract the youth today, if they came up first with the Asla Fund. Asla Fund was a small borrowed money from 500 shillings to 150,000. Now today, we have Nyota program, whereby people are given between 20,000 and 50,000 to begin their business. And this first one is a grant. And I've been told now when you work on your business well, we're now coming with a second phase whereby you now take a loan to build on that business which you began. Okay. It is there are many youths who have taken over 100,000 of youths to take that money. Maybe around 50% may fail, but 50% will be successful and they will grow. You will have changed a certain group of youth.
We can't overlook the fact that there is an economic stagnation. You can't thrive when the economy is stagnated, no matter how much input you put to it. And we're talking about the hustler right now. We can't approximate a startup capital of maybe 300,000 for a common hustler, maybe 10,000 and below, 20,000 and below. You can't have returns when the economy is stagnated. That is the first thing. So we have an economic stagnation and the administration has failed us. 2024, during the finance bill protest, he lost the youths. President William Ruto lost the youths. And he's trying to redeem himself, but that will not be erased.
As much as people don't want to intentionally say, you know, young people, you know, they don't participate, young people, there's always negativity around young people. But if the political class right now was to sit down, they're scared of young people. They're scared. They can't figure out how to get to them. And so when you see the president gallivanting Nairobi or the country with Nyota, it's because they're trying to get to young people. So this is still the effect of June 2024.
As Kenya heads towards the next elections, fear grows that Gen Z's silence at the ballot could undermine their loud demands for change.
Let everybody know, failing to vote is actually like a vote cast for unworthy leadership. Mm-hmm. That if you really want change, you have to be the change you want to be.
I feel like people are silent in some spaces. Then, you know, I feel like, you know, the way you can see something simmering and then haikai moto kama unatengeneza uji. Like it can look like it's just okay until you touch it and you realize it's very, very hot. I think that's where young people are. Where there's a simmering, there's still this undertones, bado kuna tension, but then it's not at a point to explode, but it will explode again. So I would say the silence is not a good thing. If you know that you have a child who is very, very talkative, yani even sometimes you don't ask for their opinion, lakini they share with you their opinion. The day that child is quiet, you know there's something wrong with this child. You'll even ask, ama ako mgonjwa? Or kwani what's going on with them? That's where we are with Gen Zs. So I would be worried about their silence because they are normally vocal. And a lot of times, that silence, it's going to take a trigger to blow them up again. And I believe that there will be a trigger that will blow them up again.
Even though the country's youth population accounts for over 70% of the population, they only compose about 40% of recent registered voters.
Sorry na youth hawajukui kula, mi hiyo kitu nitapinga kidogo. The youth are determined, they are going to take the votes and they are ready to vote for the next election.
If you look at the IEBC portal, if you go to the IEBC website and register, you find that at times your website inakataa. Yes, I've tried several times and sometimes inakuwa na shida, so kidogo inakuwa ngumu ku even register as a Kenyan voter, yes, kuchukua hiyo kura.
The youth will be a factor if they do what's necessary, that's register and take the vote. And they should not behave like some people in Raila's backyard who celebrate victory without voting. See, Raila would have won 2022 if some people had voted.
Our young people are politically involved, but they are politically involved in the generation of 2026. They are more politically involved. In fact, they are wondering why you are telling them to register as voters the same way Kivuito registered voters. They are wondering why you want them to go to Kamukunji while you can do a Zoom meeting with them. And you can, during the Gen Z demos, we used to have X-Space meetings with 192,000 people. And then we would appear on the streets and they would wonder, where are these guys coming from? Walikuwa nangoja ati tutazunguka huku tukipopularize reject finance bill na magari zao. We are not doing it. So the time to vote will come. And the time to vote we shall surprise them. Because we shall appear. And they'll ask, where are these people coming from?
The number of youth aged between 18 to 34 years old registered to vote in 2022 stands at 39.84%, which is a decline of 5.27% against 2017. Further analysis of youth enrollment statistics show that the number of registered female youth voters has declined by 7.75% in the period of 2017 to 2022, while male youth enrollment has declined by 2.89%. The IBC aims to register 6.3 million new voters before the 2027 general elections, with 70% of them being youth.
The youth consciousness is something that can make a difference one way or the other. And depending on what it is that they believe in, and they take the vote and vote, they need to make a difference, a major difference. If they behave normal, a lot of noise but no action, then they will not have much effect.
We have told Kenyans, do not be deceived. Just know there are two clear demarcations. People who want Kenya liberated and people who want Kenya held captive. Just choose your side. And Kenyans are watching, and Kenyans are very wise. Musijaribu ati kujicamouflage mnasema ni Singapore, we are watching you. You are either with an administration that has made our lives terrible, or you are with people that want to remove an administration that has made our life terrible. Any other formation is a lie.
Young people are practicing collective power. And when it comes to politics, power is in the numbers. And I think our politics is going to show us that the people have their numbers. What now I'm watching to see is where they place their numbers.
Youth are the engine of any revolution. I'm saying to the youth of Kenya, be the engine of the ballot revolution that we must engineer for 2027.
Kenya's Gen Z stand at a crossroad, awakened in spirit, vocal in protest, yet seems hesitant in practice. The question remains, will they carry their energy from the streets and screens into the polling stations of 2027, or will history remember them as a generation that protested loudly but voted quietly? Awakened or silent, Kenya's future may well depend on whether its youngest citizens choose to be heard where it matters most.
And I see massive response to that piece, of course, voiced by Willie, as well as worked on by none other than Alvin. Great job right there. Mumanyi is saying, well, we do not just have the numbers, but the zeal and commitment we must hit the ballot. Interesting. On the other side, Rosa says that the reason why we have quelled the unrest since 2024 and the 2025 clashes is simply because we know that the answer is on the ballot, and therefore we shall hit the ballot without doubt. And of course, the other one right here, who is Roslyn. Yes, Roslyn says as well, it is unfortunate that it looked like the youth were committed to this fight. But then when it comes to registering of votes, it is not the case. We can only wait to see. And yes, so much feedback coming from you. Be checking on that later on. But now let's pay some bills and come back.